On today's Locked On Bama, I'm going to be flying solo, so y'all bear with me for just a minute. Roll Tide.
Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's normally him. But you know what? Jimmy has sold his house. He's going to be moving. He doesn't have Wi-Fi. He's in the middle of a whole bunch of stuff, and it's Labor Day weekend, and he's trying to make it Tuscaloosa for the game. So we're going to forgive him for this particular time. He's going to text me while we're doing this and give me his prediction. I want to thank you all so much from the bottom of our heart. Jimmy and I both really appreciate you guys for making us your first listen when it comes to Alabama podcast. Want to thank Bet Online for being a sponsor of this program forever and ever and ever. Also want to thank Alumni Hall. Look, I'm trying to figure out the camera. They sent me this shirt. They are going to be a new sponsor. Alumni Hall is awesome. Go check them out online. Go find out where their nearest store is. Alumni Hall. I'm telling you, there used to be one in the Summit at Birmingham, right by me, but it's not there anymore. And it wasn't like they got booted or whatever, but they're just a great place. And I was so upset when they moved because I get all my Alabama stuff there. Go to Alumni Hall. Go check them out. I'm serious. This shirt, how am I doing this? This shirt is awesome. She said, look, y'all are going to be a sponsor, so I want you to wear something every now and again. And this shirt feels so good. I'm telling you, I'm going to the beach today. This is the perfect, chilling, getting ready for the Crimson Tide to roll shirt. Go to Alumni Hall. Check them out, alumnihall.com. And you can just Google Alumni Hall, Alabama. Find the nearest Alumni Hall close to you, or you can order online, whatever you want to do there. Also want to thank Bet Online. I think I already said that, but that's okay. Look, let's talk about some predictions here. Before we do that, though, I don't know why I just told you the first part. I do want to talk a little bit about last night. Just college football so good. And again, I've said this a million times. Y'all can have summer. You can have summer. I don't care. It's too hot. It's hot right now. It's awful. And I don't care about being on the lake anymore. I grew up on Lake Martin. I enjoyed the lake when I was younger. It's so crowded now. I don't really like getting out there as much. And all summer long, you know what I do? I think about football season. So I don't really care about any of that. The beach is fine, but it's super crowded. I'm going today. You come home, you got sand in your nether regions, and salt's made everything itchy, and you got bit by a jellyfish. You get bit or stung? I guess stung. And the summer, y'all can have it. I want football season. And if last night doesn't prove that, Pitt, West Virginia. I got a friend of mine who's an Auburn fan. He's a little down on the season right now. And he's, basically saying, these are 2 7-5 teams going at it. Who really cares? I'm thinking, God, if you don't love college football right now, right when the backyard brawl is going on between Pitt and West Virginia, what are you doing? I mean, that's awesome. And so what? Every game doesn't have to be for the national championship. I know we live in a society where it's like if you're not first, you're first loser. But it shouldn't be that way. It should be okay that Pitt and West Virginia just have a rivalry that means something to their fans. I'm cool with that. Every game doesn't have to be the national championship. That's why, again, I've always said the NCAA tournament in basketball has too many teams because it puts too much emphasis on you have to make the tournament. And that's just, it sort of ruins the regular season. We're about to expand the playoffs, it sounds like. Nick Saban's for it. So if Nick Saban's for it, I'm for it. I'm not necessarily for it, but I'm resigned to it. And I think it's going to happen. I hate the automatic qualifier idea. And if we're going to do automatic qualifiers, fine. The way they're going to do it, the top 6 highest rated conference champs get in. Okay, I can buy that. You don't have to get the Sun Belt in. You just don't. And I'm sorry if you're a Sun Belt fan listening. Your team probably doesn't deserve to get in ever. You don't play the same schedule as these other teams. It's not right. It's not fair. It's not fair to the other teams who have to go through this arduous schedule. Back to last night. Pitt and West Virginia was awesome. Penn State, Purdue. Y'all know me. I go to bed super early. I stayed up late for that. And just reminded me why I love this so much. At the beginning of the night when Tennessee was burying Ball State, I was thinking, God, am I going to have to sit through this? And, sort of like that NFL Hall of Fame game when you watch it and you're just jonesing for some football really badly. And then it comes on and you're like, oh, this kind of sucks. Nobody really want to watch this. Well, The Tennessee game was kind of like that, but then the Purdue Penn State game and the Pitt West Virginia game were just awesome. Tell you something else. Florida International Bryant was actually kind of fun. I don't really care about either one of those programs, but just the way that game ended, and I'm not going to have to go into it. This isn't Locked On Bryant, but anyway, go check it out. You'll love it. A couple other things. Bought a new car yesterday. Bought it from Town and Country Ford, right here in Bessemer. I say right here, it's 20 minutes away. And I bought it from a guy named Eric. And I'm going to tell you a little story about that. This is how Bammer I am. Go to Town and Country Ford. I've researched this online. Find the car I want, a new Ford Explorer. I like Ford Explorers. I don't need something super ritzy, but it's a nice car. And I went to Town and Country Ford to pick it up. They finally came in. And the guy that I've been talking to, named Eric, realized, man, he's kind of a tall, athletic-looking dude. He's got no hair, and he looks vaguely familiar. What the hell is this? And I talked to him a little more, and he said, man, you look familiar too. And I said, well, I do a lot of sports stuff. I do a lot of stuff with the HSAA. I do a lot of stuff with Alabama stuff. I do an Alabama podcast. He goes, well, I play basketball at Alabama. I said, you're Eric Washington. Eric, by God, Washington sold me my car. That's how Bammer I am. That's the kind of Bammer stuff I do. So go to Town and Country Ford. They're not sponsoring nothing right now. They can be. Eric, if you're listening, you can sponsor. And just tell them Luke Robinson sent you if you want to buy a new Ford. The good dude, I mean, just did everything I needed him to do. Super nice. And really appreciate it. It was just great talking to him. He's looks like he could suit up and play right now. Super dude. Now, let's get into the Utah State game. Look, I think Jimmy and I have covered this a little bit. My prediction is going to be 56-10. I'm waiting on Jimmy to text me his prediction. Hopefully he gets that in sooner rather than later. My prediction is 56-10. I think that we need Bryce Young to play a little bit longer than you think. I want to build as much chemistry with this team as possible. I want to see several running backs play. Obviously, you want Jahmyr Gibbs to do his thing. You want him to come out and establish himself as RB1. Jason McClellan come in. I want to see him catch some passes as well as run the ball. You know, Jason McClellan's got some explosiveness. If you remember what was his freshman, he broke an 80-yarder against Arkansas in Fayetteville. I'd love to see Roydell Williams and Trey Sanders, obviously. And I think we'll get to see all those guys. But the main thing I want to see is some receivers build a rapport with Bryce Young. I think that's so crucial, so important. And I think we're going to really need that this year. Bryce has got to have somebody that he really, really trusts. You know, again, I talked about this. I don't know if it was actually on this podcast or on a radio show. I wonder if Bryce Young is not undersold right now. I mean, you look at the Heisman odds. Bryce Young is behind C.J. Stroud in a lot of these. A lot of people, maybe even behind Will Anderson in some people's eyes, which, by the way, makes sense. Will Anderson's awesome. But, you know, last year he lost his main two receivers in some of the biggest games. He lost to Jameson Williams in the Iron Bowl. Nobody talks about that. Everybody talks about the ineptitude of the Alabama offense for most of the game, but he did lose his number one receiver. Doesn't make up – that's not a total excuse. I mean, they should have played better, obviously. But losing Jameson Williams really hurt. And, you know, we just need to see him build a relationship with some of these receivers, somebody he can trust. And I go back to the Trayshawn Holden thing. Everybody's going to be looking for him. In the last scrimmage, he had 3 touchdowns. But according to our boy Jimmy Stein, Jimmy says, look, a lot of that wasn't against the first team. And so don't take that with a grain of salt. And so I will. I also want to see build a relationship with at least one tight end. Miles Kitselman, I don't care, Robbie Oots, whatever. Whoever it is, let Black, whatever. Some tight end go make a play for me. Let's have one guy make a play at tight end. Let's have 2 guys make a play at receiver, and then we can sort of be optimistic about the rest of the dudes for the rest of the year, saying, hey, your time will come, okay? So it's Utah State. It's not going to be the sexiest games of all time. And before I talk a little bit more about this and what else is coming up, I do want to tell you about the NHTSA driving impaired message here. This is really important. Are you one of those people who thinks it's okay to drive stoned? It's not. What's the worst that can happen, you think? You end up driving below the speed limit? It's no big deal, right? You're dead wrong. The truth is your reaction times slow way down when you're high. You not only put yourself in danger, but everyone around you. Talk about a buzzkill. Stop kidding yourself. It's not okay to drive high. If you've been using marijuana in any form, do not get behind the wheel. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying just don't get behind the wheel. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI. One other thing I'm going to be really watching this weekend, I'm not going to necessarily really watch it, but I'm going to be interested in it, is Texas La Monroe. Isn't it kind of weird that Texas plays La Monroe and then we play La Monroe after we play Texas? Interesting, just is all. But I want to see how Texas looks, what kind of relationship Quinn Ewers is going to have with his receivers, and what receivers are going to be available. Obviously, Ajay Hall and Billingsley, sounds like they both may not be playing in this game. Shocker. I'm not trying to dog those kids at all. I want them to do well. I want to say for the 100th time, there are people in the comments before this think that Jimmy and I are anti-guys that transfer from Alabama. We're not. I'm for him. I want them to have Alvin Kamara careers, I swear. But you got to get your head on straight first, right? So I want to watch that Texas game. Obviously want to see how Georgia's going to look with that revamped defense, how Stetson Bennett's going to look. No George Pickens. He wasn't exactly or Jermaine Burton, for that matter. That should be noted. So going to be a lot of fun watching games this weekend. Back to the Alabama game, just prayers that nobody gets hurt. Alabama seems to always have one of those injuries that just crops up very early in the season. We definitely don't want that. And, man, I'm really, really excited to go to Texas the next week. And I hope that some of you guys will be there. Be looking for me in Austin if you're going. I will be glad to meet you, be glad to talk to you. I'll be the tall, lanky, big-headed guy with probably an Alumni Hall t-shirt on. So you should be able to find me. Meanwhile, I want to go back and say thanks again for everybody making us your first listen. This is something Jimmy and I started with Talking Tuscaloosa, and it was making zero money. We just did it for fun because we're not super social and we like talking to people, but we like doing it where we do all the talking. And so we started the podcast. It was the brainchild of Lawrence McCrary, and then the Locked On folks got in touch with us. And this has really developed into something, and we couldn't be any prouder. And we're so thankful and humbled for you guys for listening to us, and we really, really appreciate it. So I know this is an abbreviated segment. I'm sorry about that. I'm not used to doing this on my own. Maybe it's a little bit rambling, but man, roll tide, everybody. So excited this is back, and I know you are too. And I promise you, we will be back on Sunday post-game. We'll be talking about this, wrapping it up, getting ready for the weekend of huge weekend in Austin, Texas the next time. And until then, everybody, roll tide. Have a safe Labor Day weekend, by the way.